9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it grow, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's kick this thing off. Good morning from Paradise Surfers. We got the entire surf crew in the house. So happy to be here. It is Tuesday, November 11th. We have a great set of stories to cover for you guys today. Some big news in the world of Ethereum and staking. Specifically, we have some information to cover around Pulsechain and the new token, ProveX. We'll get to that. Our lead story, of course, is privacy dead? Are privacy tokens, is that narrative over with, or is just a little correction, a buy the dip opportunity? Of course, we'll talk macros. We'll talk where Bitcoin's going, what's holding it back, what are the catalysts coming up. A lot to get into today. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Getting a little cold where I'm at, and I'm certainly looking forward to heading down to the Paradise Pad here pretty soon, end of the month, down in Tulum to warm up. So reminder, everyone who is a follower and in the DAO, you guys can win free trips to your own paradise down in Tulum. 5 free nights for DAO members. So winter's coming here, guys. It's cold. Why not spend some time on the beach on Crypto Paradise?
That is right.
So with that, go ahead, bud.
I said that is right. Nate over there smashing the keyboard. You were about the summit, so I was just hopping in, talking about what's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know, we said we need to get to new highs. We're still in a local short-term downtrend for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for BNB. Everything keeps putting in lower highs and lower lows, which isn't what we want to see. But I'll let Nate go ahead and what's going on over there, bud. We were here in the yesterday's live show talking about some things, but we missed you. So what's the update on your end?
Oh, it's plenty warm here. It's it's always warm here though. We're just wrapping up rainy season. But yeah, I was just getting the live streams shared, getting a comment in there. We're talking about the privacy token headlines there. Is Zed dead? Is Zek dead? I think they might have pulled a bit of a Bud Light here. We'll see. Put themselves in the spotlight like that might have backfired. Monero catching a bid, getting a lot of cred off the back of the Zcash pump, and lots of rumors cycling that Zcash isn't that private after all, that it can be exposed, that it's a very centralized token. So, a lot of stuff going on in the privacy token sector. Obviously, I think you guys covered a little bit yesterday, the new ProveX token or project announced by Richard Hart. Not a ton of information about it out there, but lots of speculation on that being a privacy token or a payments solution or a combination of both. So a lot, yeah, the privacy sector certainly isn't dead. We got some stories to cover today as to why, we know kind of why it got started. Obviously, the narrative and the, what I can't remember, what did you call it, Amaro? Catching a bid when everything else is dead, kind of pumping it higher than just the actual demand for privacy tokens. But more stories coming out of Europe about exactly why that's so important to have these privacy tokens and why they're probably not going anywhere anytime soon, if not becoming even more important in the future as Europe becomes more Machiavellian and draconian with their financial and privacy laws and et cetera. But yeah, a bit of a slow day today, but plenty of stuff to cover. As always, this industry is never boring, even on the slow days.
Yeah, why don't we get some charts before we dig more into some of the discussion around privacy? I mean, although I will say that I saw some of I don't know if it was news or it was just tweets. I don't know how verifiable that information is. But they're talking about surveilling your finances in a way that I just would never thought they would go that far. You can't have more than $10,000 in a wallet. Just craziness. Hopefully none of it comes true. But let's look at some charts before we get into some macros. What do we see here with Zcash?
Yeah, some of that craziness already exists. Go look up Australian law on how much cash you're allowed to have in Australia. You'll shit yourself. It's wild to see that a Western civilization is as strict as they are. You already had to turn in all your guns. Now they, deem how much cash you can walk around with, how much cash you can spend. Pretty wild times. But yes, is it a clickbaity title or is it reality? Well, crypto Twitter would have you believe that it's a reality, that Zcash is heading to zero. But if you zoom out to this chart, just 1 month ago to now, it's still up 1,323%, while Bitcoin is down 30%, and Ethereum is down 30% as well. So yes, the number seems big, but if you zoom out, that thing still looks like it has quite a bit of life to me. And on the way up, you had all these dips. I guess just nobody was really following it during those dips. So we'll see what happens here with Zcash. The Bud Light moment that Nate is referring to is the, I don't know what that was, transgender video or whatever. That did go out right around here. So although people are commenting now that maybe that is the reason for the sell-off, it did happen right around here, and we did do a parabolic run and new all-time highs after that video was released. So that is interesting as well. I didn't watch the video. It was like over the weekend I saw it, and I'm just like, what the heck is even that? And I just kept scrolling.
Probably the right thing to do. It's more or less what I did. I didn't watch too much of it, but it's definitely sparked a lot of controversy from a lot of people online. A lot of good memes and jokes as well. But it really put them in the spotlight, and since they've came to spotlight, I think more so than the video itself, that's pushed the price down maybe a little bit here, or at least sparked a lot more concern around Zcash is now that it got attention, a lot more people coming forward and saying, hey, this privacy token is completely centralized and not very private after all. You're completely trusting the team when it comes to privacy. It's not decentralized, and the way they've built the system definitely has risks of exposure. Whether or not it was the fault of the video, but that certainly brought the attention. That's brought a closer eye and a lot more scrutiny into the actual tech itself and how private this privacy chain actually is.
Here's a thought. If you're a crypto company, or frankly any company in the entire world, never, ever, ever make a bald woman man thing. I don't know what that was. Never make a bald woman your spokesperson. Ever. That was really disturbing to look at. I did not watch the video. But like, what are you thinking? Like, if that's your dev, that's fine. If that person's on the team, that's fine. You can't get someone a little more presentable to be like the shiller.
Yeah, no joke.
Like that's gonna pitch it and try to persuade people to buy it. Like get some like handsome dude in a suit and like a fancy watch. Like this is fucking marketing 101. But anyway, doesn't matter. The whole thing I think is a little bit of a smokescreen. I never really believed too much, frankly, in like Zcash's privacy, or privacy is really something people cared about. I always thought this was a coordinated pump by whales, probably started by Bitcoin whales. Those guys did and have been selling billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. I don't think all of them pulled out all that money out of the market entirely. Some of it's going into other stuff. And a lot of it apparently went into Zcash, and they orchestrated a coordinated pump with the help of influencers. They bought in early, tried to tell you that privacy isn't such a important thing. Some people may have believed it. I think most people just bought because price goes up, basically a meme. And now you're having a correction because the early buyers are selling. But if anyone's running a business out there, marketing, trying to sell something, never make a bald woman your spokesperson, please. It's disgusting.
Oh, yeah, go. Yeah, not even bald, like straggles of hair, like the most unpresentable person you could imagine. Like trans issue being what the issue is, but like patches of hair like falling out, like
maybe the person's sick and has cancer or something. Maybe that, but even like
the dude's teeth are rotting out of his head. And everyone's like,
I'm sorry, just don't. Like, there's a reason why Sydney Sweeney is popular. Okay, it's because she's hot as shit. I don't like looking at ugly things. Just be honest about it. Good Lord. All right, so enough of me ranting about ugly women. We want to say good morning to everyone. It is snowing where Meek Chapo is. We got to get you down to Tulum, my friend. I know. We're all waiting on the market to pump. I can barely afford to get down there myself. But, that's going to happen eventually. And I got you. I got you on that free vacation, man. I promise you that. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Martin. You guys as well. I know you're a little farther away from Tulum, but nonetheless, you guys are also invited to the Paradise Pad. It's tough being pre-rich. It's better being rich. But we'll get there, folks. We will get there. Any final major on the Zcash or Monero? Or do we think that this money's going to now trickle into some other privacy coins, or is the narrative just done?
I don't know if the narrative is done yet. I mean, if you look at this chart, this dip here is not anything different than any of these dips that we saw on this whole 12x run. So I'm not going to say it's done yet. We'll see. There is major downside support at $300 to $305. Of course, that still seems like quite a bit of a drop, but if you zoom out, I mean, that's very possible, and especially depending on what Bitcoin and Ethereum does here. We see Zen back to $13. We're in that at 6, 8, 12, and 14. So that is down a little bit on the last buy, but up on all the other buys, consolidating with Zcash. I don't even have Monero on my watch list anymore. That was when I traded back in like 2017. Haven't done anything since. And let's look at Dash before we move on. Dash down 5.6%, back to $68 with support down here at 62 and 54. So we'll go ahead and see how this continues to play out, see if the privacy narrative was another short-lived altcoin cycle, or if Bitcoin and Ethereum want to catch a bid, will this sector continue to gain some ground with the support of Grayscale, Arthur Hayes, and some of the other big players in the crypto communities?
Yeah, I think as soon as we see some life back in the rest of crypto, this definitely settles down. I don't know that these guys go to zero, but much like a lot of the previous, mini hype cycles, I think they definitely lose some momentum here. Not to say that, again, I'm a big fan of the privacy tokens and the privacy movement within Web3, both on the tech side as well as the individual sovereignty side. But I think more than anything, this is one of those instances of everything else is dumping. Whatever trend catches a bid, that people see it as the only spot they can try and make money right now. So that's where all the liquidity that's in the market goes. And as soon as you have new opportunities, it's gonna switch real quick.
As soon as the early whales start to sell a bunch, it can easily reverse and retrace all the way back down to where it was before. If it's, if my theory is right, that it's basically a meme with a better narrative, there isn't real, utility or genuine, true use behind it. It's not like an Ethereum where the entire industry is running on Zcash and all the Zcash getting burned every day, and there's people staking a shit ton of Zcash, and Wall Street's buying it. Like, that's not what that was. That was kind of like a meme, I think, just with a better story. So, hey, look, we could be wrong. We could absolutely be wrong. The whales can keep pumping it. Retail continue to love it. I do think it is important to point out the sort of underlying reason why privacy is important. I don't know, Nate, if you have any of those stories queued up, but I know the UK, other European countries as well, they're talking about essentially preventing you from holding even a certain amount of crypto. I didn't know they could do that. I didn't like, this is crazy. I don't know what sort of constitution they have, you know what I mean? But we got something called the Fourth Amendment, prevents unreasonable search and seizure of your property. Thank God we have the Fourth Amendment here. But this is insane. If cash transactions over 10,000 will be banned. What, can they do that? Like, this is craziness. If this is even possible, I'd love to see like reporting from other than just random dude Alex Mason with a PFP on X. I'd like to see like an official report of this. But if this is true, I mean, my God, like, what kind of dystopian world are we living in now?
Yeah, there's been lots of stories. This was just the one I happened to pull up of this. Lots of reports of this and very similar things. The spokespeople for the EU have been on video talking about things that are coming up. Of course, they try and spin it in a much more positive light and tell you how it's for your own good. But yeah, as the digital euro is implemented and combined with the forcing of the digital IDs, it's like we talked about recently. You're going to spend the money within the rules that they set. You're going to be able to hold only so much crypto. As you can see, you're not going to be able to spend crypto without KYC and doxing where the money's coming from, where it's going. Yeah, it's a mess. And it's not like this is completely out of the question. Like, wow, they could never do this. This has got to be bullshit. Like, we've seen this stuff already starting to happen. With as Hitman mentioned, look what's in the laws that are currently on the books in Australia. Look what the U.S. tried to do with, reporting on bank accounts that have more than $600 in it. Like this is part of their larger agenda that these big government types want, not just in the U.S. but in all the Western countries. China has completely locked down all the finances. They're almost entirely digital there. So this is not very far-fetched or hard to believe that this is what they're trying to implement.
Well, we know there's no individual rights in China. It's a communist country. Like the government controls your life. That's always been, like, whatever happens there. Like that's their. I'm sorry that's their fate, but that's their fate. And hopefully they can somehow break out of total control of the government over their lives. The European Union though is supposed to be, at least as my understanding of history, right? They started the whole individual rights thing. I go back to like the ancient Greeks and stuff. Like our constitution is based largely on some of the stuff the governments were in Europe. There are individual rights. You have individual rights in Europe, maybe not as strong as what we have in the U.S. But this couldn't pass. This would never become an actual law in the U.S. because if they did try to pass this law, someone would file a lawsuit. It would make its way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would strike it down because this would be constituting an unreasonable search and seizure of one's property, right? Identity checks, you can't do a cash transaction. I mean, this would never fly in the U.S. because we have strong individual rights here. Thank God that we do. I thought they had that in the EU and in the U.K. At least to some degree. So I don't know. I'm skeptical that this is going to become law. My feeling is you have a lot of these bureaucrats sitting in Brussels there, the head of the EU, and they're spouting off this kind of craziness, but then it doesn't actually get passed into law. It ends up just being a passing story. So that's my hope. But this is cash transactions over $10,000 will be banned. Can you do? How is that even like? That's mind-boggling that they could do that.
I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few decades the European Union ceases to exist and every country starts to operate on their own again. Because there's going to be a big hard line in the sand between the likes of like Poland and Italy and what we're seeing in the self-sabotaging of the UK, Ireland, and some of the other countries. So, at some point, they're either going to all just be turned into a multicultural cesspool of third world country, or they're going to separate themselves from this European Union and stand on their own rules, laws, and citizenship and culture once again. We'll see what happens.
They should do that, although the UK did that, and then they went in the direction of pure madness with, super liberal policies, and let's just import all the immigrants because who knows why they did that, and then give them all the benefits, and then their countries are going to shit. So it does, just because you leave the EU doesn't mean you end up becoming a good country again. But it would be wise, I think. Like if you look at Italy, Poland, those are great examples. They're sort of exerting their sovereignty. They're saying our culture, our religion, our way of life, that's going to persist. And we're going to stand up to the bullies and the bureaucrats in Brussels. We're not going to be subject to the woke nonsense that's going on around the world either. So good for them. This is a trend to watch. This is a long-term story to watch. My hope is this never becomes law. My God, if you're living in those countries, man, you got a lot of money, and you work in a field where you can actually work from home or from wherever, why would you stay at this point? Why would you stay? I mean, my God, come here.
A lot of people are leaving.
Where Nate lives, come down to Mexico, whatever. There's a lot of places where you can be free and pay very little taxes and not have all this government surveillance bullshit happening too.
Yeah, so a lot of people are leaving the EU. There's a lot going on between from the EU itself, the countries within the EU. A lot of them are also passing local country laws, attacking crypto, attacking privacy and finance. So it's I talk to I work with a lot of guys that are from Europe that are this is no shocker to them. They're happy to be out in this part of the world and away from that, but they have family, they have friends still there, just that can't get out or don't have that luxury of working in a something that's super easy to relocate. So hopefully they can start standing up as individual countries and take back some sovereignty to their own countries and work this out peaceably.
No more wars in Europe.
We've had enough of those recently.
But no, man, this is just craziness. I do hope. I get people can't just leave, snap of the finger, so I do get that. Hopefully people come to their senses. I don't think the majority wants this. I think this is like a minority of people in power, the bureaucrats. They're pushing these things, and people are likely feeling powerless to stop it. Sad situation. Hopefully they're able to turn it around. Just like hopefully we can turn around the price of Bitcoin here. What's going on with the price of Bitcoin, Nick? When are we going to start pumping again here?
Yeah, we talked about it in yesterday's live show. You just keep putting in higher or lower highs and lower lows, and this is just a bear trend. So nothing's changed here. Yesterday during the live show, we're right here warning that this is the case. And if you're Elliott wave, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a fifth wave below this 98 coming. You could be bullish and say, hey, that was the double bottom, that was the low, and now we're just going to slowly grind higher. But again, middle of November, we're almost there. That's when Bitcoin should be turning around versus gold, as gold already topped. You're sitting right around the levels. This is when gold topped out, and this was the same exact price when gold topped out at 4,400, and now gold is 4,100. If the rotation is going to happen like it has historically, you are running out of time. 1 to 2 weeks from now is when things should kick off. But the chart so far on the lower time frames, this is just a bear trend, nothing to get excited about. It even applies over to the traditional market. Coinbase chart looks just like Bitcoin here. Imagine that. Lower highs, lower lows in a short-term downtrend, bearish trend here as it bounced off the moving average. So right now you're just in sideways consolidation, leaning towards bearish with not much to do. Every chart is starting to look the same, paint the same picture. Ethereum is no different. Lower highs, lower lows. So all the same stuff across the board, and we showed BNB yesterday. Same thing. Lower highs, lower lows. So this is all a short-term bear trend. Could it be over? Elliott wave theory says one more minor new low and it would be over. The moving averages are kind of pointing to that same thing. But again, I'm not going to rule out a reversal because we've left a lot of people behind. We've shaken a lot of branches. A lot of trees have been shaken. And the greed and fear and pain has already all been there. So we'll see what happens. But again, since the last live show, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all.
I don't feel a lot of greed. I certainly feel a lot of fear, panic, and pain. That seems to be the prevailing sentiment among all us crypto participants these days. I haven't felt greed in a few months, it seems. Maybe back when Bitcoin was running towards that all-time high. Remember, that wasn't that long ago. Early October, Bitcoin did hit an all-time high. It feels like a distant memory because it's just been down essentially since then. But
2 years has passed in the last month.
All you can do is smile, laugh about it, think long term, and then you stop worrying too much. And maybe the McRib is going to save us. What say you, Nate?
There's one thing that can pull us out of this slump. It's the McRib, baby. The old McRib indicator here. Some great memes on the side here too. The Michael Saylor with the green candle there. The McRib is my quant. McRib is the only power law I see. Love some of these.
If this continues to be like a real signal, that's just going to be astonishing. That would be the fifth. So this would be the fifth time that it would be the fifth time since 2020 with the pump. Am I looking at that right?
Yeah. Right before late 2020, right as this pump was getting started, McRib came out. Looks like in November maybe. Pumped it. Then again, looks like in maybe September, October 2023, pump. We had a massive dip coming in almost right as it turned around here on the bottoms, right in late 2024. Another rocket ship from the McRib. So could the McRib once again save us from the from this dastardly
It looks like it's
dip?
something that McDonald's does seasonally around the holidays in like November. Right.
No, so apparently it's something to do with, I haven't looked at all the data specifically, but it's something to do with the price of pork. And when pork is at low prices, then the McRib comes back due to cost efficiencies. And there's something around with the price of pork that correlates with like the business cycle and financial markets. Now, that's pretty wild to think, but I guess that makes sense when you think about, oil's cyclical, pork's probably cyclical, everything's probably cyclical. So that's the most high level explanation I have heard in passing. Again, I don't know all the details, haven't overlaid the charts or anything like that because I'm not going to waste my time doing that. But it's something to do with the pork pricing and how that does directly, in fact, affect or correlate to financial markets, of which Bitcoin's
now,
a part
is
of.
it a complex series of economic events that line up with the prices of pork, or is it that Ronald McDonald is actually Satoshi Nakamoto?
I think that's it. I think the
That's
latter. The latter.
Definitely the latter. But no, I mean, I look at it in a little bit more simplistic views. I mean, if you look at when they, drop the McRib again, it seems to always be towards the end of the year. You're looking at like November each and every time, it seems. And that's typically when Bitcoin and the financial markets are pumping for whatever reason. So, nice coincidence, I guess. I think we're probably going to have a repeat of it. My only concern, or the reason why I might have to give that pause, is these whales, these OG whales, just selling. We may consolidate around this 100 to 115K mark for another couple months. Who's to say we don't? Up until they start QE. So I know we all want November up, and gold, has been running, so the 8-day lag and all these things, right? And S&P 500 looks great, all this stuff. But it could just be continuation of OG selling, Wall Street buying, ends up being kind of a wash, and we have to wait for more of the great rotation to play out. So I've accepted that as potentially my fate here of having to wait a few more months of being pre-rich, but it could very well be the case, guys.
And that shows you how the market, at least where we're on this cycle now, still relies on Bitcoin, because the OG rotation theory only applies to Bitcoin OGs they're selling. You're not really seeing that on ETH or BNB or any of these other assets. Yet they're all languishing in their own demise as well, because they're still looking at Bitcoin to be the leader of the general market consensus. And Bitcoin is really what starts spurring the FOMO from the institutional side this cycle. So that's where we're sitting.
Well, something that's going to help. We've talked a lot about people being able to earn money in the very near future off of things. TradFi people starting to make money off of yields for their assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. One way we've talked about is through debt leverage, right? Using it as collateral for loans, as has been the playbook for all the wealthy people since the last couple hundred years. But this is another great bullish news coming out today. Both the Treasury and IRS giving us some new guidance around crypto exchange traded project ETPs, clearing a path to stake digital assets where they are able to earn rewards, essentially what we've been doing with DeFi forever, and what the SEC has been arresting people and fining Kraken and the like for the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars now. It's all legal now. Congratulations. So good luck, everybody, getting your money back from the SEC and the government. But it is now legal for us to do what has been DeFi for the last few years.
This is actually a big story, and we've covered this in the past, because this is sort of a continuation of their previous guidance. They announced that yes, you can in fact stake. If you're an issuer of this exchange traded product, you're buying up ETH, you're issuing a share that represents, whatever, some Ethereum, you can stake the underlying Ethereum and generate yield. The second part of this, the new part of this, as I understand it anyway, is that you can now turn around and pass that yield directly on back to your retail investors. That second part of that sort of loop has now just been closed. I think it's very bullish. Add it to the list of all the underlying bullish stories that are percolating and bubbling up around the crypto industry. Hasn't yet translated into price performance, but man, there is no shortage of bullish stories around crypto these days. It's just the price hasn't reacted, I think, because of these whales, and it's the end of this quantitative tightening cycle, and people are still risk off, et cetera, et cetera. But man, great news. I'm very happy as an ETH believer. And by the way, Nick, I do think there's going to come a time, maybe 3-5 years, I don't know, when what we're going through now with Bitcoin and these whales that they're just popping up like billions, there's going to turn out to be Ethereum guys in like 5 years that are sitting on billions once the price has gotten to like 20,000, 25,000. And then we'll go through this with ETH. Like, can't believe all these whales are selling on us, like early ETH guys. So it's just how it goes. Rotation, early buyers, big buyers getting out, new buyers coming in. It's a healthy thing. Think about your favorite meme. This is exactly what you always want in your favorite memes. It's just painful and annoying and lasts way too long in this case, and starting to piss everybody off, I think.
Well, hopefully by that point, when the Ethereum billionaires are ready to sell, they won't have to. They'll have other alternatives to be able to generate revenue off of their assets, and we'll just do what the wealthy do now with their assets and pass it down, make money, make liquid cash off of it through a variety of different vehicles and continue to pass their assets down the chain.
That's what smart whales should be doing. Like, you can already get loans, I guess, against the value of your Bitcoin, or you will be able to soon through JP Morgan and Ethereum. I don't know if it's fully ready yet, but it's coming. Think about the tax implications. I mean, my God, are you either you're just skipping out on your taxes and you're risking going to prison, because if they find out that you bought Bitcoin at $10 and selling at 100K and you are in billions in profits, you don't think they're going to try to find your ass? And if you didn't pay all the taxes, they won't get. So the tax implications for someone in that scenario is mind-boggling, right? Mind-boggling. And then to Nate's point, like, why wouldn't you just take a loan out against it, find other ways to generate income? Why are you selling your whole bag? Why are you selling your whole bag, Mr. Whale? Any whales watching sitting on $1 billion in profits? I want to hear from you. Why'd you sell? Why'd you sell? And are you ready to pay the tax man, that insane capital gains you got because you bought it at 10 and sold it 100K?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, too. There is opportunities in which they could use that to get loans and whatnot, but, I can't say here nor there. It would be nice not to have any loan payment or do anything and just be cash out $9 billion, pay your 15% long-term capital gains tax and call it a day and, fade away into irrelevancy. That would be pretty nice. But, yeah, it is slowing the market down. I think you're right. Once Ethereum gets to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, then some of those Ethereum whales probably wake up. They're probably thinking the same thing I am, where no new all-time high for 5 years. That can't be the top in Ethereum, nor do they want to cut at these levels. If you look at Richard Hart's tweet earlier today, he said people don't like to sell things they bought higher. And I think he keeps telling us this over and over, telling you he's not going to pump Pulsechain. He's not going to be eager to sell that $700 million worth of ETH until it gets above $3,800. I still think 5,000 is one thing to get excited, and when he would feel good about selling some ETH to start pumping Pulsechain, Mr. Prove, or anything else. But the average cost basis for all those Pulsechain sacrifice funds that he bought was around $3,800 Ethereum. And as you know, as of today, we are below that level.
If you are Richard Hart and you're sitting on $700 million in ETH, you cannot sell it right now and pour it into Pulsechain, because what's going to happen is people are going to dump on your head. People will exit out, quick little gain, quick little 2x. Yay, finally made a little bit of money, and then the price will have reversed and end up exactly where it is today. You can't put money like that into the market at this point in time, because everyone's just too risk off, too fearful. You got to wait until we're running, and then all the alts are running, and then you can deploy that capital, and then you can spur that 10x and 20x, and people FOMO in behind it because everyone's, yay, altcoin season, I'm going to buy whatever's pumping. Like, it just wouldn't be sustainable to do it now, so I'm completely behind Richard. If he's not deploying capital, I totally get that. Hopefully he does, once the market does turn around, but, right now it's just a fool's errand to try to swim upstream, so let's just continue to be patient with Pulsechain and everything else.
Well, I think that's why he said this multiple times in different ways, because he knows, look, everybody's trying to look at what those sacrifice funds are doing, that Ethereum was put through Tornado Cash. Now you're launching another privacy application, so maybe that allows you to obfuscate those funds even more. But he's telling you guys, look, I'm not deploying funds. I haven't deployed funds. I'm not selling ETH for less than $3,800. It just makes no sense. And really, alt season doesn't start to 5,000. So hopefully when Ethereum turns around, it's going to be quick and swift. So instead of him having to decide whether to sit there and sell it for 39 or 4,000 for months at a time, hopefully when we bounce back up, we get to and through new all-time highs and some excitement can happen. I think a lot of people forget that can happen. And I think people forget that, what was it, just earlier this month when Bitcoin rallied from 103,000 to 116,000, Ethereum was back into the 4,400 range. The different vibes that were in this market, and also how quickly that happened. That happened over the course of a weekend. So things can move quickly. It's just going to take a little help from some outside resources, because the news ain't doing it. We see all this positive news, Nate, over and over. News is not moving the market whatsoever. It's going to take real capital, regulation, and of course QE instead of QT. Maybe the $2,000 stimulus checks help that. Who knows what's going on. Fed interest rate cuts next month, whatever. But just the news, like, oh man, the ETP news about staking in 2017, that would have done a 2x on Ethereum. Today we lost 5%.
Yep. Yeah, it's markets don't care about the speculative hype anymore. They want traction. They want to see money coming in, and until we get that, until we see the downstream effect of all this bullish news that we're getting, what we've been covering for 9 months now, a year now almost, with this new administration and all the adoption that we've seen. We've got another story here of the new draft bill for the crypto legislation is coming out, just came out. Don't know exactly what's in that yet, but we should know soon. I'm sure the AI sleuths are out there tearing through it with ChatGPT as we speak. So later this week, I'm sure we'll be able to cover some of this. But again, this is the kind of stuff, great to see. Gonna take time to have any real impact on the markets.
News never really moves the market when you think about it. It's really just like liquidity. Speculation, sure, I guess can move it temporarily. But if you're looking for like a long-term sustained uptrend, you got to look at liquidity, you got to look at business cycle, Fed policy, and that's why we always talk about those topics. I know they're probably boring and dry for a lot of people. Why are you talking about politics all the time? Why are you talking about the Fed all the time? Why are you talking about labor market, job? Well, this is the stuff that ultimately moves the markets. Yeah, sure, you can have like short-term little pump here and there for whatever reason. But if you're looking for a sustained uptrend, it's the liquidity cycle, guys. It's liquidity cycle, and we're just not quite there yet. We're almost there. We're on the precipice. QT is ending December 1. That's like 3 weeks from now. We are going to get that rate cut December 9th. The QE will start shortly thereafter. We're already doing the shadow QE. The good stories are there, but the liquidity's not. The liquidity's simply not. So you just got to continue to be patient.
It makes sense if we're right, and the 4-year business cycle is now a 5-year business cycle, and that would be why this is so long and drawn out, because we're not going to be on a 4-year halving cycle anymore. We're going to be on 5. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll see if we're right on that. We've been leaning towards, hey, we're right, but let's be cautious, Q1, Q2. But if you're truly on a 5-year cycle, that means you're in Q3, Q4 of next year would be the top for Bitcoin and lining up with the GTA 6 launch, which would be crazy to think. Let's just try to get above $4,000 ETH to start, and we'll go from there. But here's some more breaking news. SoFi becomes the first nationally chartered U.S. bank to launch Bitcoin and crypto trading. There you go. More news, hitting it out. More, regulation allowing these things to happen. More accessibility to U.S. citizens and global citizens to start putting money into the crypto markets. And again, hopefully the crypto trading is more spot. I'm tired of leverage and derivatives and everything else where people are hedging each other and that slows the market down. People are getting liquidated, that slows the market down. You're in these assets because they're scarce digital assets with finite supplies and finite inflation rates. So when you hold spot, price go up, supply and demand curve go up. When you start putting in derivatives and hedging and all that futures and all this other nonsense, that doesn't help the market directly, and that's why we see a stagnation in prices.
Well, the other thing too is all those exotic products really appeal just to traders, speculators, quote sophisticated guys who are willing to take that kind of risk. You really need this asset class to open up to the mom and pops, the 401k investors who are long term. They just want to buy and hold spot. By the way, that's how you make actually money in this market, by the way. You're usually going to lose money doing all the leverage stuff. The way you make money is buying and holding Bitcoin over many years. So we do need, I think, the infrastructure to come into place. And that's happening now. SoFi is a great example. There's many other banks seemingly coming online. I'm reading stories about, you're soon going to be able to just deposit Bitcoin in your brokerage account, sell it to buy stocks, sell your stocks to buy Bitcoin. It's all going to be interconnected. The Wall Street companies see money to be made. They're going to build this out for us. That will then allow your mom and pop sort of folks and 401k investors to get in. But then the final piece of that puzzle is we need price go up. Because until price go up, mom and pop ain't looking to buy. Mom and pop will look to buy when price go up. And finally, they'll have the way to do that through SoFi, through your JP Morgan, through your whatever brokerage you use. So it's all coming together. I mean, the big picture is super positive. We just haven't had that price go up yet, and we need that.
Well, speaking of Fed rates, federal Fed policy and liquidity having a major impact on price, this should be bullish for all of us here. The SOFR, the Secured Overnight Financing Rate, in other words, the rate big players, banks mostly, pay to borrow cash overnight, which a lot of people don't understand that we have overnight lending rates because financial literacy is quite low. But typically a sharp drop signals cheap money flooding in, which often sparks bigger risks and upward momentum for things like Bitcoin and other risk-on assets. Give me a minute. I need to go grab water.
Yeah, do your thing.
That happened. That happened yesterday. It's the dry air. It's the dry air, I guess. I don't know.
You know, this is kind of a continuation of the I call it shadow QE that's been going on behind the scenes. You had the Fed inject 120 or it was 150 billion into the banking sector. This is kind of similar to that. It's not explicit. It's not, I think, considered QE in the eyes of the financial markets per se, but it is akin to it. And eventually, I think this sort of stuff eventually will trickle down into risk assets, but apparently not yet. Perhaps because Martin, a resident Bitcoin whale, has sold $1 billion of the Bitcoin, has used it to buy a jet. Well, thanks for the invite on the private jet, by the way.
Yeah, pick me up on your way to Tulum.
Good news is apparently he already got his mom and pop, as they say in your part of the world, I guess, over into Bitcoin. That's good. My mom also owns $10 of Bitcoin. She bought it actually it's probably about worth 100 now. She downloaded Coinbase in 21 and bought $10 of the Bitcoin. I have no idea why she did that. And it still held it. It's probably worth 10x more. Good for her. She should have bought a $10,000, but hey, I guess, if you don't believe, you don't believe, and that's your problem. What other stories we got here, Nate?
This is a pretty good one. Stocks looking a little better. Not that they were looking that bad, but $1 trillion added to the U.S. stock market today. That's a single day. $1 trillion, more than 25% of the entire crypto market in a day. So big money's out there, guys. And when it makes its way into this industry, which it inevitably will, whether that's in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, or 1 decade, this is what we have to look forward to. So, your horizons need to be zoomed out. You need to be more, long-term thinking, especially, obviously we all have our speculative stuff, the early stage seed round and the micro caps and the, low cap alts that we like to speculate and play around on. But when it comes to your big stuff, when it comes to buying Bitcoin, when it comes to buying Ethereum, you should have at least a 10-year horizon on, how long you're going to be holding that. If not, never holding it and looking to alternative ways to make money off of it. But this is why. This is another great reason why stock market, U.S. stock market by itself, and Bitcoin, by the way, worldwide asset, not a U.S. market only asset, but the U.S. stock market alone moving $1 trillion in a single day.
Hope you guys hold some stocks. Hope you hold some Nvidia, some Tesla. It's got to be diversified if you can. It always softens the blow when Bitcoin is underperforming, your Ethereum, etc. is underperforming, to see the stock market going up. So I'm happy to see that. Reminder that, we're early. Our asset class is so tiny. $1 trillion gets added to the stock market, like you said, 25%, actually 30% of the total crypto market cap, if I'm not mistaken. Just in a single day. Gold, similar story played out a few weeks ago. I mean, it's $30 trillion asset. We're early, guys. We're very, very early. Money will eventually flow into Bitcoin. Just stay patient. Wait for these OGs to stop selling, and price will eventually recover here.
Yeah, I don't know what else much there is to talk about. I know we have some more meetings. I'm also going live with a gentleman from Pulsechain here in an hour and 20 minutes. Corey Costa from Crypto Coins. A big known Pulsechain guy over there, Mr. Cryfag himself, according to Richard Hart. Richard Hart, leaned into him, said he's cryfagging, and if he does it again, he's going to ban him. And, Corey Costa kind of ran with that, but he's going live, and he's going to have me on the show. So we'll, of course, shill Surf Token, shill Pulsechain, shill everything else that's going on in the ecosystem. But that's how we continue to expand our network here with Crypto Paradise and our own personal brands. So.
It's great news, man. Yeah, looking forward to watching you do that. We will share that across all our channels so folks can tune in to the live and also the recording. Before we jump off, don't want to ignore the viewers here. Been an 8-figure whale last week. Wow. I'm surprised for a few reasons. I would assume most 8-figure whales are not telling people, oh yeah, sure, I got $1 billion or 100 million, whatever 8 figures is, into from crypto. Maybe they are, who knows. Putting props in real business. I got look, at the end of the day, whales are entitled to sell. I think it's fine. Ultimately, you sort of need the early buyers to disperse their coins to the new hands. I mean, I joke around that it's like a meme, but it really is. You know, remember back in meme season, everyone's like, you gotta get the whales out. Let's get the whales out, and then it'll pump. Yeah, same thing with Bitcoin. It's just more money and more capital you're dealing with, longer time frames, but it's the same fundamental concept. Get the whales out, get the tokens dispersed. You know, we don't need guys holding 10,000 Bitcoin. We need like a million people holding 0.1 Bitcoin. You know, and then price can pump again once this sort of great rotation's done. But, you know, until then, we just stay chilling and just watching and trying to stay as positive as we can. By the way, I am looking to buy a Tesla. Something's wrong with my wife's car. I said, you know what, it's time to buy a Tesla. I don't know if I'm spending so much time on X that I've been like influenced by whatever Elon's, you know, pushing over there, my algorithm. But I just kind of want one. So I want to hear from you guys. If anyone owns a Tesla, do you like it? Do you not like it? Should I buy it? They're cheap. You can get
Do you have space in your house to have an at-home charger?
I'd have to install one.
Yeah, that's the only way I would do it, is if I had an at-home charger. You ain't catching me going and sitting in some fucking parking lot for 30 minutes charging up or waiting in line to charge my car, that's for sure.
No, of course not. No, I have the infrastructure. Someone would need to install the thing, but we got the outdoor, you know, plugs and shit. Just so it'd be feasible from that standpoint. I think it costs $400 or $500 to get that installed, and you know, whatever. But you know, 30 grand for a Tesla with like $25,000 miles on it. I think that what happened was the liberals got all mad at Elon Musk when he was like gutting the government from all the waste, that they started like selling their Teslas on the cheap. And now there's a lot of used Teslas around for like much cheaper than what you'd expect from another luxury brand, and I consider Tesla a luxury brand. So yeah, gonna be doing some research on that. Don't really want to buy one yet because the market's not good, but you know, let's get ETH a little higher, let's get Bitcoin a little higher, and then you know, new Tesla. Here we go.
Put your wife in a Cybertruck.
Before we sign off,
I will not get the Cybertruck. That thing is ridiculous. My son loves the Cybertruck. That car is made for like 5-year-old boys and grown men who want to be 5-year-old boys. That's the Cybertruck. Now we just get the Model Y because it's practical. But in any event, yeah, I know you guys are tired. Hitman's got to do another thing. The market's on. Dave Ramsey's on life support. We got a final story before we want to jump off here, folks.
Yeah, just want to, you know, send some well wishes and prayers to Dave Ramsey in critical condition after learning about the 50-year mortgage here. So hope gets back on his feet soon. I laughed way too hard at that when I saw that today. But yeah. Dave obviously has some fun opinions on Bitcoin, but
sure, I respect Dave Ramsey. I mean, he's trying to get people out of debt. A lot of people are in massive debt in this country. But to anyone like who is not under massive debt and is looking for like sound financial advice and thoughtful advice, I just feel like he doesn't really provide it. He's just, debt is the devil. You know, pay off your house completely. You know, maybe that makes sense for some people. Anyway, the 50-year mortgage is good, you guys. We covered it yesterday. It's all good. Let's allow the young folks to get a foothold on the property ladder. Let's pump the property prices.
Eternal renting.
Banks will get more interest. People will save money every month. They can put that savings into Bitcoin, compound it over 30 years, get $8 million. Boom.
Boom, just like that. Or poof and it's gone. One of the two.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong, boys and girls? Good stuff today. Good stuff. I'll let you guys get going. Got a lot to get to today, calls, etc. So thank you all for jumping in. Appreciate your time. Thank you for engaging here, Martin, as well. And until next time, guys, we will see you on the beach.